right, welcome back. Good afternoon. Okay, so did any questions or points of confusion arise as we were reflecting? Nope. Okay. So if anyone does want to take the test, either just for your own, um, you know, knowledge, or if you intend to get the certification, just send me an email just to remind me. I know that Jennifer is, I know that Shayla, I believe, is, but just send me an email, spc@tnlsf.org. I have it. I just need to know um, how long, and if anybody's watching this, um, doing the retreat on your own, watching the recording, yeah, just send me an email and remind me that I should send it to you. I just don't know exactly if Venerable has an idea of when she wants it returned so that it's like fair for everyone, like 24 hours, or exactly, how that works. What she was thinking about that. It's 12 questions, and but you only have to answer 8 of them. That's what she said. I guess you choose your own adventure, I guess, for the quiz. But so you have to answer 8 of the 12 questions on the quiz. Um, yes, Jennifer.
Should I ask for it like right before I want to take it? Like if I need like another day to brush up on all the material, should like if I want to take it on Monday, should I email you Sunday? If I want to take it Tuesday, Monday, like that?
Um, yeah, I mean, probably I
She
would
said
say,
something about 24 hours that we could have the test in our belongings.
yeah, I mean, that's my guess is that, so I would say just kind of um everyone should just kind of think about like what 24-hour period is going to work best for them. And then you can just let me know like 24 hours before that. And then, like at 8 a.m. that day, I'll send it to you. And then by 8 a.m. the next day, unless Venerable says, 48 hours is, I mean, I don't know. When I've done it before, I only gave people an hour. I was like, let me know. I sent it to them and I was like, it's due in 1 hour. So that required a bit more coordination. Um, but so we'll see what she says at this point.
Is it set
Mhm.
up for us to type into the
It's a Word
program?
document, yeah. So
Okay.
you can.
Okay. Okay, I have Word. All right, thanks so much.
Mhm, yeah.
And Venerable, I'm assuming it's closed book versus open book.
I've asked, I'm assuming that as well at this point. I have asked that just to be certain. Looking at the questions, that FPMT, when they do the test, they always say without referencing your notes or without referencing. Um, so that is my assumption as well at this point, unless I hear differently. The questions, they're not the kinds of questions, like if it was open book, I would assume it would be more like essay questions, and it would be more, these are like short answer kind of things, and so they look like closed book questions to me. Okay. Okay. So we will move into then the next meditation. So we focused in the morning, we focused on kind of the the nature of mind itself, that sort of thing. And for the afternoon, I'm going to focus more so on um, the developing, constructive states of mind as, within what's given in this section. So we'll do The first meditation that we'll do is on the 18 qualities of a perfect human rebirth. And then the second meditation, it will be on equanimity. So those are going to be kind of to give a sense of these two different, the purpose of understanding how the mind works and so on, is what we did in the beginning. And now we're going to kind of focus on using the wisdom of the Buddha to, overcome difficulties or obstacles, challenges. So the purpose, the antidote that this first meditation of perfect human rebirth, it's given to function as an antidote to kind of the belief that we have, that our lives are just kind of common, that there's nothing, while there's 8 billion people on the earth, doesn't really, everybody has this, it's not really that important. It's always here, it will always be here. It's easy, it's kind of just normal. And that's not the Buddha's view at all. The Buddha's view is that we possess something of extraordinary value and meaning and significance. And when we deeply familiarize our mind with that, the whole premise of all of the meditations is that when the mind is deeply familiarized with the wisdom of that topic, we are different. We make different choices. We think differently. We act differently. We prioritize differently. So we're trying to overcome the mistaken view that human life is just sort of, you know, what everyone possesses and has no real, particular utility. Because then if we hold to that view, we're much more likely to just kind of waste our time, to just, if you don't value something, if you take it for granted, then you're not really extracting its essence, and just kind of indulging in this or that without, really seeing its real value. Okay, so try to once again adopt a comfortable upright position. And when you feel as though your body is stable, upright, comfortable, your body is free of unnecessary tension, unnecessary rigidity, you've relaxed into your position. The body has kind of fallen into place. Then cultivate a sense of letting go, of attending to your external environment, whatever sights or sounds there are. There's no need to attend to them, constraining your awareness just to the body and mind, going inward. And then begin to concentrate your awareness in the present by attending closely to the physical sensation of the air as it moves into and back out of the tip of the nostrils. And when other thoughts or feelings arise in the mind, we only try to notice them quickly, and then lift our awareness up from them and placing it back on that one physical sensation. And then again, think of your motivation, trying to generate one that is expansive, trying to embrace countless sentient beings within the field of your practice. Recognizing that it is not only for oneself that we wish to develop the mind, that it is to create the kind of mind that can benefit others, that wants to benefit others. And then with that motivation, we can begin contemplating our own innate potential to limitlessly develop the mind, that which we share and in common with all other sentient beings. And the mind itself, this mind, our mind, can become the mind of a Buddha, as can every other mind. The confusion, the negativities, the obscurations, although they are manifest, they're not one with the mind itself. Through training, it can be overcome, subdued, eventually completely eliminated from the mind, revealing the mind's true nature. And although we share that in common with all sentient beings, not all sentient beings are in a position to take advantage of that aspect of their minds. There are other realms where sentient beings exist, where our mind has existed countless times. And in these other realms, either due to more pervasive, painful conditions, like the hell realms, hungry ghost realms, or due to profound ignorance, dullness of mind, like in the animal realm, the path of spiritual training is completely cut off. Just take a moment to think about rebirth in these realms, the fear and the ignorance of the animal realm, fear of starvation, predation, a lack of mental sharpness, being subject to the elements, the omnipresent hunger and thirst of the spirit realm, hungry ghost realm, and the incredibly oppressive suffering of the hell realms. And recognize that none of these painful states characterize one's own present experience. Presently, one is completely free of all of that negativity. So think along those lines and generate a real sense of relief, sense of joy I think not only that, but I've also been born at a time and a place where a Buddha has come, has taught, turn the complete wheel of Dharma, and those teachings still exist in an unbroken lineage up until the present day. They're widely understood, widely practiced. I have access to great spiritual masters. There are many other humans also free of the lower realms who don't have those benefits. I myself, countless times, was born human in places without these teachings. So again, feel that deep sense of awe. And think too that there are beings in even the upper realms which seem quite pleasant, and we hear about the bliss and enjoyments. And yet, that intoxication with bliss also prevents spiritual practice. We ourselves can recognize suffering, develop the wish to overcome it. And we have a body and mind that's clear enough, healthy enough, free of pain, free of disease, so that we can apply ourselves to study, to meditation. And most important, we have some genuine interest in developing the mind. Countless people have all of the necessary inner and outer conditions, but pursue only status or wealth, power, passing this life in these significantly less meaningful ways. And we ourselves have spent many lifetimes focused only on wealth and status and power, comfort. And yet now we do have genuine interest. Think about all of these characteristics of your own life, all of the advantages that you have. Try to realize that if someone were to construct in the abstract the kind of life that would be the most well suited to spiritual growth and development, it would look very much like your own. And then recognize that for all of these qualities to come together all at once is incredibly rare, not easy to create the causes and conditions for. Of all of the countless sentient beings within all of reality, how many of them have their lives qualified by these 18 conditions, these freedoms and endowments? Almost none. So generate a strong resolve in the mind to take full advantage, to use this life wisely, to abandon causing harm, to take every opportunity to engage in virtue. Generate that strong determination in the mind to create these causes and conditions for more perfect human rebirths. And just rest your mind single pointedly in that determination. And when you're ready, we'll come back together. So then we will again reflect on the motivation that we established and think that that contemplation was in service to that motivation. And by engaging in it, we've actualized the motivation, which has generated positive energy in our minds, and that positive energy will ripen in constructive, beneficial ways. So think of all of the constructive, supportive, beneficial ways that you are dedicating that energy toward a flourishing of your own potential and those of all others. All right. Any thoughts or questions? All right. So I feel like people aren't big fans of breakout rooms and discussions, but because it's just underutilized on Zoom. But we really should, people should do some active kinds of discussion, a little bit at least. So um, there are some suggested questions that I've picked for this course, and the one that I think is really um, kind of gets at the heart of this is the question is, so we'll do two breakout rooms, and so both rooms will just discuss the same question. And the question is it possible to completely eliminate delusions from the mind? Why or why not is the question. Is that possible? That, I mean, that really gets at the heart of all of Buddhism, right? Because like His Holiness says, if it isn't possible, then we should just try to be comfortable. We should just drink and party, and if we can't, then we shouldn't even try. Um, so that's the group discussion question, and so we'll do 15 minutes. Yes, that's the question. Is it, and then why or why not? Why? You don't have to agree that it is, but you just have to defend your position. Uh, why or why not? Okay. Everybody's back. All right. So does anyone want to share? And I won't call on anyone. Does anyone want to share their Jennifer?
I'll share for the group. So we came up with two. One of them is my best friend doesn't call me back, and this upsets me. My best friend doesn't call me back, and this doesn't bother me at all. Therefore, this is coming from my mind. Therefore, I can eradicate my delusions. That's one. Two, I see my teachers as having perfected their mind. Therefore, I can do it too. That's what we came up with.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We from our own direct experience, certainly it's true that we can see evidence of progress, right? We can see, over time, we can see, and maybe there hasn't been much time, but when there is, when you have a year, 2 years, 5 years, and you can reflect on where you started versus where things are now, you can see some difference. We shouldn't expect to see a difference in the course of like a week or a month or even 6 months, but over the course of say 2 years, some difference we should be able to point to, that I was a bit more like this 2 years ago, and I'm a bit more like this now. And so if you just extrapolate that out, certainly that progress, is something that can continue into the future. You would expect it to continue out into the future. And um, definitely, if we feel like we have examples of other um, beings who have achieved that, then either either there's a type of being who is always like that, is just special, like there's just Buddhas that are just sort of popping into just causelessly, or it arose due to causes and conditions. It was something that, you know, gradually was accomplished over time. And, the Buddha, if we accept that there are some examples, then the historical Buddha is probably the best example. And he told us about his previous lives. And, we have them preserved in the Jataka tales and so on. So we know that, it wasn't just like he's some kind of unique sentient being that is like that and always was like that and never was anything other than that. So it's the circumstance is that, you know, sentient beings move from one direction to the other. Yeah. But I do think that, the reason that this question is particularly important is because to think about if, you know, if a person in their bones, deeply, fully, completely, unreservedly believed that this was possible, what would the life of that person look like? What would they do? What would they, how would they think? What would their priorities be? What would their choices be? If they, because I think I can say it, we can all say it, we can think it, but like, is there a disconnect between, yes, I think this is true versus like, am I really living my life? Am I really acting, as if I I do believe that it isn't just possible, but that I myself can and will get rid of my own delusions, not just like, well, yeah, this other person, they could do it, or yeah, some people, maybe they can do it. But do I believe that I myself really, truly, absolutely can completely eradicate all of the mess that is my own mind, all of the, do I genuinely believe that without any doubt, any reservation? And if I can say that about myself, am I how, how much time, how much energy, how much effort am I putting into accomplishing that goal versus like other goals, other things? Um, I think that's because, I think, I mean, for myself, whatnot, I think it's intellectually, I mean, all of these realizations, right, that we're supposed to have, realization of death and impermanence, realization of we can be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I won't live forever and so on. But has it truly penetrated like all the way down into the fiber of our beings? Um, and that's a different question, and I think that's probably a different answer with respect to any of these realizations that we're trying to have. So for me, I've always felt like this is the most important question, because if you get this question, then all of the other things will be, will fit into that answer. But if this question isn't like super clear, then why? Like, why would you do, I mean, yeah, you could do some things but you wouldn't do all of the things. You wouldn't, I mean, why would you engage in purification practice? Why would you, like, it doesn't make sense without, kind of this piece. And it doesn't have, I mean, people don't have to, people can choose whatever they want. People can participate to whatever degree they want, and that's fine. Um, but if you if you think of yourself as someone who's taken that as their goal, then is it true that you have complete confidence in your own ability to actually achieve that goal? It's just something I think to really spend time thinking about. Yes, Bill.
So, well, our group came to a similar but maybe slightly different conclusion, which was that theoretically it's possible that we could eliminate all delusions from the mind, but from a practical standpoint, given how long it's taken some of us to eliminate the delusions that we've been able or reduce the delusions that we have, and the ignorance that, for example, I have in terms of listening to Geshe's teachings. For example, oftentimes, he'll say something 5 times, and it's going to be the 5th or the 10th time he says it before it finally sticks a little bit. So from a practical standpoint, I think it may not be possible in this lifetime per se, but on the other hand, that doesn't negate the value in doing it, because every time we eliminate a delusion or reduce the impact of a delusion, then it benefits not only us but those people around us. So it's a net positive regardless. So it seems to indicate that if we believe in the path that that delusions can be eliminated, then why stop? Go ahead and continue. And yes, if you can eliminate all delusions, that would be absolutely wonderful. But again, from a practical standpoint, it may not be possible in this lifetime for some of us. So.
Yeah, definitely we should, we do need to cultivate a long-term view. That's definitely true. We shouldn't, because if we don't, then we really risk getting frustrated, and feeling like, oh, why, I've been meditating for, a whole, month. Why haven't I achieved enlightenment yet? It's ridiculous. What's going on? Um, so we do need to cultivate a really long-term perspective, like you're saying, and just, you know, I always kind of say the way that I think about it is just thinking about it in terms of health, in the same way. Like, we don't think of our health as something that we finish, right? We don't think of it as something that we're done with, but every day we just make choices that support like the idea that we want to be healthy. We want to, so we make that's our goal. And so every day we wake up and we think, okay, well, how do I make progress toward, like, if I make these choices, if I eat a bunch of Big Macs and, a bunch of, smoothies and, like, bad, like, ice cream kind of smoothies and things, then, because green smoothies, very good. So, uh, but if I do that, then I'm not making progress. Like, I'm not acting in alignment with that goal. I'm taking myself further away. I'm moving, away from health rather than toward health. Um, but for all of the days that you're alive, it isn't that, like, I'm done now. Like, I've achieved healthiness, and so now I can just go do something else. Because then you go back, you move away from it again, right? It's just every day you're thinking, I'm alive, I have today. What are the choices? What are the decisions that support this goal for this day that I have, that I'm alive? And then hopefully I'll wake up again tomorrow and I get to do it again tomorrow. Um, and so it's this balance, right? Of, we have goals, right? We want to see some progress toward our goals, and we want to use that as an indication, because if you tell your doctor, oh yeah, I'm really health conscious, but you get all of your labs back and they're way off the charts, like terrible. You're maybe 300 pounds, from your ideal weight, but you're saying to your doctor, well, no, I really do care about my health. And, there's a disconnect there, right? Like, something isn't quite working in how you are thinking about it. Um, so we certainly want to think about, like, small, maybe the first goal is just consistency, right, with our practice. Like, have I gotten to a place where it doesn't matter what I'm meditating on, or, but have I gotten to a place where there's a reasonable amount of consistency in my practice? And that can take, you could spend a couple of years really trying, 2 years, 3 years, of trying to, and that can sound like a long time, but hopefully you've got a couple more decades, different people have different, lifespans, and we never know. I mean, of course, we could all die tomorrow. There could be some huge nuclear disaster, and, maybe this is the last day that we have. Um, so we don't know. But it's if we don't think about goals at all, then, we're not breaking things into steps, and we're not kind of thinking about making some progress. And so we need to, you know, have some kinds of plans for, you know, getting more and more familiar over time with these things. Um, but at the same time, they shouldn't be unreasonable goals. We shouldn't think, well, I definitely need to be able to do, like, I need to have a calm abiding in 2 years, and, and then I need to, I'm going to do all these. But it's just, we can certainly take, it's nothing wrong with saying, I will achieve enlightenment in this lifetime. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, because, to take that as our goal, but because we don't know. I mean, what if we achieved it, in the bardo? What if we achieved it as we were, then we were successful, right? And we're not going to know until we are in the bardo, and maybe we did or we didn't. Um, and, if not, then everything that we did was, at least, as you said, it was in service of that goal. It was, every day we moved a little bit closer to that goal. Um, and we're not going to be disappointed, right? Because by the time we're out of the bardo, like, we're in another life, and it's like, it's fine, to say, well, okay, it didn't happen. We're going to be, but we've spent this whole life creating all of these amazing causes and conditions to practice, to stay on the path, to meet the teachings again and again. So if we don't actually accomplish that goal, but we shouldn't say it isn't possible, like I can't do it, it won't happen, because then also we're limiting ourselves and we won't try at all. Um, so, or we'll just only take very limited goals or very, kind of mediate, and we'll be satisfied with just, you know. So it's this balancing act, right, of not having unrealistic expectations, which can lead to a sense of failure, a sense of frustration, versus, you know, are we try, are we staying accountable, to our interests? Are we taking it seriously? Are we applying effort on a day by day basis? Because if we're doing, it's this, it all falls into place, right? Just like with our health, if we every single day, if we're just making the right choices, then over time, health naturally arises. Health is a byproduct. It's unavoidable. You can't not be healthy if you're if 80 to 90% of your choices are like good choices. Health is just an emergent property of all of those individual decisions, and enlightenment is the same. It naturally, spontaneously, it's unavoidable. You will achieve enlightenment if all of your choices are in that correct vein, if they're motivated by that, if they're directed toward that, if they're in alignment with that, if they're supportive of that. Um, and again, it may not happen in this lifetime, but it will happen, at some point. So yeah, it's just balancing those two perspectives, so that we stay motivated, we don't burn out, we don't get frustrated, and we see it, just as this is the work of every day of the rest of my life. It isn't something that I finish, um, but up until my very last breath, this is the path. This is what I do. It's never done. It's never finished, until enlightenment is achieved, and that could be in this life, and maybe not. But um, if we take that as our goal, then we get the best, at least we get whatever the best possible result is, that's what we'll get, if we aim, as high as we can. All right. So then does anybody want to like stretch or anything before does anybody feel like they need to move around for a minute or just go into the next one? Yeah, let's just take, yeah, because we came back at 1. Yeah, let's take a 10-minute break. Yeah. All right, welcome back. So yes, I'll put that in the chat. All right, so the last meditation for today is on what's called equanimity. It's actually a pretty advanced meditation. The realization of it's actually in what's called the great scope of the Lam Rim. Um, did Venerable Sangye Kajro address this as a topic in the course? It's in the meditations, but did she bring it into, and what context did, did she introduce it?
I don't think she did it in the meditations, not from what I remember.
Did she talk about it as a general concept at all, or in the course, or?
No.
Well, I think she did talk about how she talked about how we're all the same, wanting to be free from suffering and wanting to be happy, and that we're all equal in that way. Whether or not she spoke of quote equanimity, I don't think she did a meditation on it, but
Okay.
I could be wrong. But yeah.
Yeah. So equanimity, in this context, it's, as I say, it's actually more so an advanced technique. It it's presented in terms of the Lam Rim. It's really presented on the pathway of developing bodhicitta, the wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. It's the immediate prerequisite for bodhicitta, and that you won't that topic, that module is one of the very last modules, but it is in this it's in this series of meditations, as one of the options. So, as I mentioned, all of the topics that the Buddha taught, they are all giving us antidotes to problems. And we talked about the antidote that developing familiarity with precious human rebirth is, helping us to overcome that sense that we should just take our lives for granted. Equanimity is helping us to overcome the normal process that we have of putting mainly other for our perspective from our as a practical matter for us, other people in the categories of friend, enemy, and stranger on the basis of how they treat us, how on the basis of their relationship to us. That is an obstacle to, as I say, particularly to developing bodhicitta, which uh, is a mind that embraces all sentient beings without exception, right? We don't want to achieve enlightenment just for some people. We want to achieve enlightenment for all people. But some people really annoy us. Some people really, bother us. And of course, then there's also people that we feel like are doing really terrible things, people that we feel like are, causing great harm on the earth, either to ourselves or to groups of people or what have you. Um, and still, we can't leave even people that are causing. It isn't to say that we don't have to acknowledge that that's true, that they are causing great harm through criminal behaviors or, whatever it might be. That may be the case, and yet we also want to achieve enlightenment for their benefit. Um, because the way in which we benefit them is, when we achieve our enlightenment, we then get to use all of the rest of that infinity of time to manifest in world systems and help lead sentient beings to their own enlightenment. And when these, so it may be that there are people who are killing and, whatever, engaging in these really, terribly mistaken, harmful actions. But it's because they're not enlightened. It's because, just like when we cause harm, right? Maybe we're not, burning down buildings or stabbing people, but we're using our speech sometimes unskillfully. We sometimes maybe we have an impulse to, try to manipulate someone in some way to get what we want. We're all ordinary sentient beings, and so we're all struggling with various non-virtues, various unethical actions. Um, and it's all because of the fact that delusions are manifest in our minds and in the minds of, and it's also true that in countless previous lives we have engaged in even those more extreme forms of negativity. So it isn't that, we can distance ourselves from that. There is no concept of like evil as a substance, as like something that's separate from oneself. It's just, you know, habit and tendency. And some people have, right now, temporally speaking, compared to us, they're in a time and place where these incredibly heavy negative tendencies are what their mind is deeply familiar with. And right now, for us, we're not, experiencing that, but we have experienced that. And there's a danger that if we don't, you know, continue to cultivate the right kinds of familiarities, that at some point in the future, our own minds could move back into that familiarity, because self-centeredness is kind of the path of least resistance for all sentient beings. And so it's difficult to achieve. That's why stainless prayer and you know, pure morality and so on are the causes of a perfect human rebirth. And they're not just like random causes, they're actually challenging to put together those causes. Um, so it isn't to deny that there is harm that can be caused by sentient beings, but it's to recognize that if we want that harm to cease, we ought to wish for the enlightenment of all sentient beings, because then they will stop causing all of those harms, right? They will only benefit sentient beings. They will be free from those impulses that are responsible. I will be free when I achieve my enlightenment. I will be free of the impulses in my own mind that cause harm to others. And those who are engaging in even stronger negativities, who I feel aversion toward, that's actually how they avoid causing those negativities, is when they are free from the actual root causes of those negativities in their mind. So we have to really work with aversion and attachment that kind of says, oh, these people are kind, so I'll work for their benefit. These other people are harmful, I won't work for their benefit, by, getting away from this idea of like othering people who cause harm, like thinking that they are just unique in some way, that they're just bad people. There are no bad people. There are only minds who are familiar with certain ways of thinking and acting and behaving and perceiving, and that are maybe more or less virtuous, more or less useful, more or less constructive at that particular time. But over cosmological timescales, that same mind is doing lots and lots of different things. Our own mind has had those difficulties, and now we're not. But it isn't that they are uniquely evil, that there's some kind of like substance that makes them that way, and that they just are like that. It's just mind, and the mind changes. So we really ought to think differently about that self-centered perspective that prefers people who are kind, who abhors people who are unkind, and who doesn't care about people who are just kind of in the background. So this is trying to develop equanimity between being treated in those three different ways that other sentient beings can either treat us, or they treat people that we care about, that sort of thing. And it's equalizing um, our willingness to benefit sentient beings, irrespective of their actions, irrespective of, to see them simply as suffering sentient beings who are deserving of love and compassion, and regardless of how their mind is manifesting at the moment. Um, so, but again, like I say, um, it's something that we shouldn't expect to really be able to master, because it is a great scope meditation. So there's a lot of pieces between here and there that we also need to work on. Okay. Any thoughts or questions about what we're going to do? All right. So once again, get comfortable. And focus on finding a stable position for your body. Letting go of unnecessary tension, unnecessary rigidity. Allowing the body to hang on itself, to fall into place. Moving the mind away from the external world and straining the mind to the body, to the mind itself. And concentrating your awareness by attending to the physical sensation of the breath. Calming the mind, concentrating the mind. Letting go of conceptuality. And then once more reassert your altruistic motivation. And then imagine in the space in front of you, or imagine yourself in a larger space, an open space. And imagine that there are 3 people seated in front of you, facing you. On your right side is someone you know well, a dear friend, a loved one. In front, on the left side, is also someone you know well, someone that you have difficulty with, someone who agitates your mind. And then directly in front is someone that you saw recently at the grocery store, someone that you would say is a stranger to you. You can remember their face, but you didn't really interact with them. They just kind of walked by you. You don't know them. Try to hold in mind this visualization of these three people. And turn your attention to your friend. Imagine that they are with you, and you're just looking at them. And notice the quality of your mind. Notice if you feel relaxed, warm-hearted, if the sense of wishing them well is present in the mind. And think back over knowing this person. Meeting them, getting to know them. How is it that you have come to identify them as a friend? Do you have common interests, common values? Do they tend to say and do nice things? Do you often get along? If they needed your help, how much hardship, how much inconvenience are you prepared to undergo? And then turn your attention as though moving your body, moving your eyes, attending to the difficult person, as if they are in front of you looking at you. Notice how the mind shifts. Now there's a sense of distance in the mind, a discomfort in the mind, a sense of being closed off. Think back over knowing this person. What has led to this way of relating to them? Do they say or do things that you find unacceptable? Do they hold views that you strongly disagree with? Do they not seem to take your opinions or needs into consideration? Just try to get clear in your mind the origin of this sense of distance, aversion. And think, how willing would you be to help them? Would you resent it? Would you refuse? Would there be limitations? Then turn your awareness toward the stranger in the middle. And notice again how the mind naturally, spontaneously changes. Is there a sense of blankness, disinterest? Imagine that this person asks for your help. Imagine that you are busy, stressed out. How much difficulty, inconvenience would you undergo? Would you feel indignant, put out? This total stranger. And then review these three responses that you've looked at. What do they have in common? Do you tend to relate to everyone that you meet on the basis of whether or not they have benefited you, whether they're likely to benefit you? Is that how you navigate your relationships? To explore this, imagine that your friend begins to act much differently. They begin to pull away. They begin to say more disrespectful, angry things. Or imagine that the difficult person apologizes, tries to make amends. Or imagine that you strike up a conversation with the stranger. Find that you have commonalities. What are the circumstances that would lead to changing your interest in working for the benefit of these different people? Would you lose interest if the friend stopped being kind? Would you gain interest if the difficult person started being kind? Are there examples of this happening in your own life? And how does that demonstrate this tendency of working for the benefit of those that benefit us? Try to see that we have this tendency to narrow down other people's self-worth, only independence on whether or not we feel benefited by them. And that our own willingness to benefit them is contingent on whether or not we feel like that will be reciprocated. This is the functioning of the ego's wish to be comfortable. And try to go beyond that surface level way of relating to others, recognizing that all of these people are suffering sentient beings. They deeply wish to be happy, deeply wish to be free of suffering. No sentient being has a claim greater than any other on accomplishing that goal. No sentient being is less deserving than any other of accomplishing that goal. Seeing how fleeting, how meaningless those labels are. Wanting to relate to sentient beings more deeply. Try to give rise to a strong determination to notice this habit, this tendency, and to move past it when it arises, to see through this egoistic, narrow perspective. Rest your mind in that strong determination. And then when you're ready, we'll come back together. All right. So then maybe we'll do a little bit of some formal dedication prayers, just as a way of giving some uh, people some experience with that or some exposure to that a little bit. So we think back not just on the meditation that we just done, but we think back on our day of effort, all of the virtue that we've created, all of the positive energy that we've generated, this mass of constructive action, activity. And we think of dedicating all of it. I'll screen share. Yes. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, and those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to all the merits of the 3 times collected by me, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all other sentient beings, may bodhicitta, cherishing others, letting go of oneself, letting go of the I, which is the source of all the happiness and success of myself and all other sentient beings, be generated within my own mind and in the minds of all sentient beings without even a second's delay. May that which has already been generated increase. Due to the merits of the 3 times collected by me, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and all other sentient beings, may all the Father Mother sentient beings have happiness. May the 3 lower realms be empty forever. May all Bodhisattvas' prayers succeed immediately, and may I be able to cause all this to happen by myself alone. Due to the merits of the 3 times collected by me, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and all other sentient beings, may any sentient being who hears me, touches me, remembers me, thinks about me, whether praising or criticizing, abuses me, treats me badly, or makes any connection with me, simply by having made that connection, may they never ever be reborn in the lower realms. May those sentient beings immediately be liberated from all disease, spirit harms, negative karma, and defilements, develop faith in refuge and karma, and quickly achieve enlightenment by actualizing the whole path, especially bodhicitta. By my hearing that someone is sick, may it immediately cause that person to completely recover and have the most meaningful life by practicing the Mahayana path. By my hearing that someone has died, may it cause that person to immediately be reborn in a pure land where they can become enlightened. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all-powerful Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. Are there any final questions? Anything related to this module that You have now concluded. Oh, all right. So the next retreat day is October 26th. I believe that's the retreat day for Module 2. Venerable Katie is leading that retreat day. So you'll have to talk to her if you have any questions about it. And the next module, of course, is also taught by Venerable Sangye Kadro, and that begins September 9th. Those are always on Monday. And we know that Module 3 will be taught by Venerable Yunten, who's wonderful. So she'll be teaching Module 3, which begins in November 9th, I think. If that's all, then we are adjourned.
Thank you, Venerable Dondrub. It's been a lovely, lovely day. Thank you so much.